What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. We are just taking a quick look at Verasity here, and as we can see, looking like it's having an actually very nice little move to the upside after this prolonged and continuous bearish period that it has been seeing. Obviously, we've been covering Verasity for basically the entirety of this downtrend, and you can see very clearly just how much that it has been suffering in this bear market, just making lower lows and lower highs, continuing to the downside, continuing to sell off and trickle to the downside consistently. Every single bounce to the upside has been met with a firm resistance and sell-off. People just continuing to sell off and continue to the downside. You can see here we've kind of been forming potentially a little bit of a descending wedge. You can see here we've got a little bit of a trend line that Verasity has been bouncing on here as well, and then here again. And you can see very clearly that once we got the bounce here, you can see we've started to break out of quite a few resistances with that descending wedge that a lot of altcoins were showing. You can see the previous range that we highlighted here. And you can see once we broke back inside this area, I did actually put a short in at this position here, and it came down into a bit of profit. But once it started to come back up, I'll show. Obviously, I mentioned this in the previous video, but I will say pretty much what happened here. You can see we came back into this previous level of support as resistance, the bottom of this range. I put a short position in here. It came down into profit, and then once it came back inside the range here and started to back test, I actually closed the short position at about a break even here. And I entered a long position pretty much in this area here. You can see that it's on the chart now. And then obviously you can see here we came down. We got a very nice back test here with a huge rejection of that downside push. And then obviously we ran pretty much straight up to the target, which was the top of the range here. After that point, I said I'll be trading the range until the range breaks. So I put a short position in this area here because you can see that this is the top of the range quite clearly with the stop loss just above that wick to the upside there. And you can see basically what happened was we came up, we got that double back test, that double test of that top, basically a double top like this, didn't we? We get that big rejection, we test one more time, and then we actually came to the downside. And I said I would be taking profits about halfway into the range. We pretty much came down and just snagged that target there, didn't we? Before we actually came back up, tested this high again. We actually got the break of that high, and I was waiting for a back test actually to put in a long position of this break of this high of the range. But you can see we never got the back test, and we basically just kept running up for Verasity here. Finally getting a bit of joy to the upside on the charts after so long just being pushed to the downside. You can see here on the hourly time frame, I was waiting. You can see you got the clean breakout, but we never really got the back test of that level, so I didn't put my long position in here, or it didn't get triggered. And then it basically ran away, didn't it? And we lost out on this one. But sometimes that does happen when you don't get your entry points. And you can see now on the daily time frame, basically where Verasity has ran up to now. We've come back up to this previous high, haven't we, where we have been rejected. I'd probably be looking to put in a short position here for sure. If this does come back up and retest again, probably get a little bit of retracement like this, maybe a back test, and then come back down into this area. That would be the trade that I would be looking for Verasity in the short term. As we probably will continue this bearish trend most likely until we see those key levels for Bitcoin starting to be broken. Obviously, Bitcoin showing signs of life right now, but we are still in a bearish trend overall. And just because we come up and make a similar high like this doesn't mean that we won't roll over and come down and make a lower low again. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next. We're still bearish short term on cryptos in general. Probably looking to come down or at least retest this low here for Verasity. But mid to long term, very bullish on Verasity. I've got a massive bag of this for the long term. And if it's hitting $1 or $2 in the next 5 years, people are going to be very happy on it, including me. And I do think that is possible. If you look at the weekly chart here, it's very interesting, this chart. It looks like it's basically just coiling up, isn't it? You can see we had a prolonged period here where we were essentially just chopping sideways like this. Massive run up, obviously with the overextension, the bearish divergences. You get the sell off, we come back down, pretty much getting towards those key supports now. You can see almost down there really, aren't we? You'd probably expect this level to be the key support. If we came down and tested this, I mean, I'd expect this to be an area where you would start to get that continuation. And if we did have the Fibonacci on right now, pulling that from the high to that current low of the bear market, you can see getting up towards that first key resistance on the Fibonacci, that's 0.23. Let me just make sure this is in entirely the correct place, actually. There we go. You can see pulled from the high to the current low of the bear market. We can start making our way up through these Fibonacci levels, can't we? And you can see on the extensions, I mean, obviously, this 227 at $10. I mean, Jesus Christ, people are going to be billionaires if it's getting up towards that kind of price. Obviously, very unlikely. And I do want to be realistic with the predictions, but I really don't think a 10x from the previous all-time high in a new bull market with, you know, the market cap being as low as it would be. What would it be? A few billion, 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 billion to get up to around $1. Very, very, you can see up here at around that 161 Fibonacci extension at 75 cents. I mean, that would be a fantastic target, wouldn't it? And you'd probably be looking at taking some profits on the way up here as well. But these are very, very achievable targets, and this happens all the time in crypto, doesn't it? So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the long term, but for now, in the short term, we are just looking at taking a short position most likely, and then seeing what happens next. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Appreciate you all very much. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.